Fallon, what is going on? Welcome to the podcast. Thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
How have you been? How are things at the station?
They're good. Trying to think if there's anything new or exciting, but I feel like it's kind of same old. This year is fun because we can have more events. Like every year since, 2021, really, we've been like picking up more events. It's kind of like our slow season, but I feel like I've had a lot of stuff. So I think that's fun to get out and like hang out with people and everything.
Did Jenny happen to tell you the story about when she came on the late hour show?
She did actually,
Oh no.
because well, she asked whose podcast I was doing, and I said, I don't know you personally, but I said his name's Clint. She's like, do you remember I did that? I did an interview with him, and I was like,
Yeah.
I honestly didn't. But she was like, yeah, she's like, I felt so bad for him because I went there and like then there, and we've all dealt with this. If you had a podcast or radio show, you have not lived if you have not had some kind of audio technical issue where you get done and you look down and you weren't recording or whatever it is,
Yeah.
So
Oh, Jenny, if you're listening, I still feel so stupid and so bad about that. We filmed an entire episode and like Travis like played it back and he like I remember he looked at me like when he realized he was like, "Oh no." But I'm
it
I'm
happens
glad
to the
Jenny
best of
isn't.
us. Yeah.
Are you still doing felonies?
Yeah, it's just a stupid quick bit we do Fridays at
Oh,
like our what we do Monday through Thursday, like in the 9 o'clock hours, just dumb criminals. That's kind of like a standard radio bit across the country. We just call them felonies because my name's Fallon and it's a play on the word felon. So
I think the most insane one I ever heard you do was it was like a guy who was naked and he came in through like a window like in the top of the house and he like was eating the contents out of a vacuum cleaner.
yeah, I don't remember because there are sadly so many that are similar to that story.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, I mean they usually involve drugs or something. It's,
Holy smokes.
bad. Don't do drugs. Yeah.
So, what made you start the Heartbroken podcast?
Well, yeah, I did that. I started that a few years ago. Which is funny because I got a submission for it today, which is so strange because I haven't done that podcast in over like a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And I just
Hmm.
got a submission for it randomly today. I started it years ago because I just felt like I would get emails all the time from people asking like, how do you get over heartbreak? Like, you know, and I just was like, I do not have the answer. Um, I'm not a therapist and I'm not going to give people, I mean, it's time, right? So, but the thing is that it's universal. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting so many emails about this. I'm just going to do a podcast and people can share their stories. And it's, like most people say with podcasts or anything, a way for people to not feel alone. It's like
Hmm.
everyone has experienced heartbreak in some way, shape, or form. You lost your pet, your grandma passed away, whatever it is. And so it's just a very universal understanding. I was very surprised at I guess the success of it. I knew that it would be relatable, but you know how it is.
Yeah.
You launch a podcast, you don't know if will anyone other than your mother or brother listen to it.
Yeah. So kind of transitioning from Heartbroken to right person, wrong time. What made you kind of switch gears a little bit as far as topics?
Yeah, I took a break because I could feel that the passion was not there for me anymore with
Hmm.
Heartbroken. And it wasn't because of any specific reason. I think that a lot of the time we go into things with like the you don't realize like you're allowed to end it. And it's like it doesn't have
Yeah.
to go on
Yeah.
forever. And I had done it for 2.5, 3 years, and I just felt myself not looking forward to doing it anymore. And I didn't like that because I love hearing people's stories. So I was like, that was my sign that I needed to stop doing the podcast. And um, it was hard because I had a guest on every single week. So figuring out people's schedules or okay, I'm going to be on vacation. Um, I could put one in the can, but I'm going to have to line two people up that week then. And so
Yeah.
I was like, it was too much. And I did that for 3 years. I mean, I even recorded 11 episodes in advance for my maternity leave. So I just was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then I took a break and I had all these podcast ideas in that break, but I kept kind of telling myself, no, you need to take like actual time because you're going to get burnt out too quickly. So then I had this idea. And this one is like, I call it kind of like a sister podcast because there still is heartbreak, but some stories end where they got back together and it was just the timing. So there can be a happy ending. In some, it just wasn't the right person. It had nothing to do with timing.
Right person, wrong time. You have some very interesting endings on there, like the woman who had the guy come to her house because the other guy proposed. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, this is like something out of a movie.
It really was. Yeah, there will be I've been surprised. I think like I'll read the email and think they're going to end up with the original guy or the new guy. And yeah,
Yeah.
in like the very first episode, she calls it Runaway Joe. And the guy, she basically dated a guy. He split. She gets engaged to a new guy. And when she tells the old guy she's engaged, he shows up on her doorstep with a ring, pre-approval for a house to buy. And he's
Yeah.
like, I want you back. And you'll have to see what she chooses.
Yeah.
You have to
I
listen to
won't
the
spoil it.
episode. Yeah.
So I have to ask you, has that ever happened to you, like where you met somebody and it just wasn't the right time for you and the other person?
No. And that's so someone was like, share your story. And I'm like, I honestly don't have one. I feel bad. I mean, this is not based on me at all. Like I've definitely had heartbreak before, but I haven't played that game where I am on again or off again with someone. Like
Mm.
I'm kind of like Miley Cyrus, I think. I think she said it before. When she's done, that person's dead to her. And I don't mean like I could never be their friend, but once I'm done with a relationship, I don't have the desire to be with that person ever again.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. Like once the other person shows that they are no longer like attracted to you, does that just instantly kill it for you?
Well, yeah. I mean, the person has to be
Yeah, same
attracted to
here.
you. You would
Same here.
kill it.
It's like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah. No
like
confidence.
yeah, it's like why would I stick around? Which kind of brings us to now. It's like, so I've been married for 9 years. Like I'm in a very good place. Like I would
Yeah.
never in a million years want to go back to being single. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. Absolutely.
yeah,
I have a
things
lot
are
of friends
good.
that have gone back to being single and they don't know how to they're like, oh God, I don't understand. I mean, my sister even asked me the other day, like, what dating apps do you get on and how do you, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it sucks. But it's always sucked in different ways. Now it just sucks in a, in a more modern way, I guess.
Okay, the last time I was single, MySpace was around.
Oh
So
yeah,
like,
classic.
yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit. How did you like meet your husband then?
On a dating app.
What? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which one?
Bumble. I
Bumble.
am like
Okay.
I'm a success story. My friends don't like hearing my story. I swiped right on like two people. He was one of them. He's the only one I went on a date with, and it was just like meant to be.
Okay. So for people like me who don't know what Bumble is, I'm
Mhm.
assuming that's like a play on the word like you're bumbling, like in a sentence.
The difference with Bumble, because you know they all have their own unique thing, is like the woman has to start the conversation. So
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
so I had to start the conversation. And I think that like is supposed to kind of help the women feel more in control of it and not get like bombarded.
With
Yeah.
like, hey, what are you doing later? Hey,
Yeah.
let me
All the
get your
random
number.
things. Yep.
Yeah. My wife has a friend who she'll take a screenshot of all the awful like DMs she gets on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
just
awful.
like why would you think that's okay to like say to
No,
somebody like right off the bat?
no,
It
it's the
reminds me a little bit of you ever watch like To Catch a Predator or like Chris Hansen?
back in the day, I probably saw some. Yeah.
Yeah, the responses that I see like are very similar to that. They're just like kind of just sleazy and gross and like
Mm-hmm.
creepy and
Yep.
it's like, no, yeah, no thanks.
Oh, there's definitely some creepers out there for sure.
So how did you know like your husband was like the one for you?
I mean, it's not like it wasn't like a fell in love at first sight. It was,
Hmm.
we just, I'm a sense of humor person. He had a very intelligent sense of humor, which I liked. And it was very easy to talk to him. It was just very easy. Everything about our relationship has always been easy. He makes every part of my life better. It's just like he enhances. I think that's what your partner does. They somehow make you better just by being in your orbit because they enhance you. And I feel like he makes me better in every way.
Yeah, and like with Melissa, my wife, if I'm doing a bad job on something, she'll tell me.
Yeah.
Which I hate. I hated that at first, but now it's like, okay, yeah, I see your point of view. Like I am doing a really bad job in this, or I'm being lazy. Because at first I was like, oh, you're just being mean. She's like, no, look, like, and then she'd show
Yeah.
me a different way, which is super nice. Because when you're, single, you don't have that, and you don't know. Kind of going on the topic of like friendships, have you ever had like a friendship that just ended abruptly or like for a superficial reason?
I've had a friendship end abruptly. Yes. I'm trying to think. I had one. I mean, honestly, it's an unfortunate situation. And it was, looking back, it wouldn't have worked, but I had a friend I was very close with, and my boyfriend and I had a boyfriend for like 5.5 years. We broke up, and then I found out she was seeing him secretly. And
Mhm.
it's kind of immature, but I mean, I cut it off immediately. I was like, "Are you seriously dating this person?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "We just broke up after 5.5 years." I felt very betrayed. But then I was a little like immature about it. I'm older now and I realize it was just like I don't think I handled it well. I don't think we would have remained friends regardless because she ended up marrying him. I mean, and they're very
Oh
happy
wow.
together. Yeah, it's like,
Wow.
well, I guess I don't know, I haven't talked to her in over 10 years. Um, and I mean, she made the right decision by staying with him instead of like keeping our friendship. And at the time I again was young, I didn't understand. And she was a good human. I think like that's the thing. Like she wasn't like one of those friends anyway. So there was a part of me for a while that really missed her. And then, you've had the people that come in and out of your life. And I think they come in and out of your life for a reason. They're there for a short time. And it's not like we ended because of superficial reasons necessarily. It's just like you grow up or you move or whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's crazy though. So they ended up getting married.
Yeah. Yeah. They have
I
kids and
guess yeah, in
everything.
your position, like how do you like how are you supposed to feel on that? Because they end up getting married, but at the same time, it's like, well, you were off doing this.
Yeah. I mean, by
Wow.
the time they got married, it was years later, so you'd
Oh,
move
really?
on. Yeah.
Okay. That's why, like, I'm always thankful for the friends I do have. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because, like, a
Mhm.
lot of times I'll kind of catch myself off thinking, like, oh, why don't I talk to this person anymore? And it's
Yeah.
kind of like, well, it's been however long. So at this point, it's just time to let it go and pay attention to
Yeah.
the friends you do have and whatnot.
There will be
So,
those like kind of nostalgia moments though. You're right. It's like
yeah.
people that were it's that were a big part of your life at some point. You look back at memories together fondly and it's weird for them to not be a part of your life anymore. I totally get that.
All right. So on Instagram, I asked you guys to ask Fallon anything, and this is what we got.
Okay.
All right. First question is, what makes you happy?
Ooh, I think there are a lot of things that make me happy. Just being around, the people like we were talking about, like friends or family. That's easy answer. Because I love, like I said, the sense of humor, the laughter. I love that. Simple things like shoveling my face with delightful foods makes me happy. Um, I discovered that I like painting like 2 years ago, and that makes me really happy. Radio still makes me happy. It's a job. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to act like every single day is perfect and wonderful and happy, but it's like for the most part, it makes you happy. Then it does. So I like my job and coworkers and oh man, my daughter is an easy one. She's easy to anger me and make me the happiest. She has the ability to do both.
Next question.
What are you loving right now?
Okay. Well, I watch a lot of TV, probably too much. So I am really loving the TV show Shrinking on Apple TV. And it has Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. It's really good. And then another show, obviously, the new season of You just started on Netflix.
Mhm.
Jake got me to watch The Last of Us on HBO, which everyone was talking about. And I resisted it. I finally watched it. I get it. It's great. Um, let's see. What else am I into? I'm reading a book and by reading, I mean listening to an audiobook. I don't ever read anymore. I listen to audiobooks. Let me see what it's called. It's called like Under the Magnolias or something. That's pretty good. Um, I'm into what else? Musically, I listen to the same things all the time. I listen to like Taylor Swift. There's a girl named Renee Rapp, and she's getting ready to blow up. So I'm really into her. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm into right now, I guess. I don't
All
know. Do
right.
you want, I'm like, do you want anything else? I could think of something else probably.
I mean, yeah, TV shows and like books. I'm kind of the
Yeah.
same way. Or
Okay.
if like I
Yeah.
find a new artist, yeah, exactly. Hold on, before I ask the next question, are you a gamer at all? Did you play the video game Last of Us?
No, I didn't. I'm not a gamer. I've tried, like, I remember growing up, my mama, which is what I call my grandma, she bought like a Nintendo for the grandkids, and I just never got into it. The only game I can, like, video game I can remember ever getting into was Rock Band. Or no, wait, Guitar
Oh,
Hero.
okay. Okay, yeah,
And I
that's a
wasn't
solid
even
game
good at
though.
it.
That's
Yeah,
still
I wasn't
fun,
even,
you get all your friends together.
it was. But I love like board games and stuff like that. That I'm into. We just did like a family getaway and we did with Jake's sister and brother and his girlfriend. We did telestrations after dark and we laughed for like 2 hours straight. So I love playing games, just not a big gamer.
Is okay. I'm assuming by the name that's like sort of like
Adult.
Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
bit. Okay.
Next question.
If you could have any other career, what would it be?
A painter. I would love to like actually just do painting full time. But I would miss like I feel like I would have to have some kind of podcast or something because I would miss like interacting with people because painting is just like such a solo. I mean, you can go paint with other people, but it's such a solo thing.
So, like, what do you do with the pieces? Then do you like hang them like around your house or give them to
Yeah,
friends or?
combination. I do hang some around my house and then I've also sell like them. I sell them on like Etsy and I make
Oh,
prints of
nice.
certain ones and yeah, so I it's not enough to live on, but it's like it's a fun like hobby.
Okay. So anybody out there listening, you can check out her Etsy page.
Yeah.
Next question.
I've heard War of the Roses is fake. Is it true?
I get asked that question. And that's not the first time. So I'm not like
Hmm.
offended by that at all. So um our I think that okay, I think that there might be some other places that are, but I would never call them out. But this is how like we cannot legally put someone on the radio without their permission. So we
Oh.
have to do we have to like pre-record all of ours and then we have to like ask them permission at the end. And the reason that it still honestly I think works is because we have the iHeartRadio app. So most of the people don't even live here. Most of the people, I mean, there are some, but a majority of people live like different states in the country. So it's you get to hear the like finished version. You don't get to hear the calls we made that no one answered or they hung up on us. Like it is very time consuming to get a good
Oh,
one to air.
wow. Okay, I gotta give a shout out to my buddy Vince because he inboxed me saying Fallon has been my crush since day one of her being on KWB, and he told me not to say this. So sorry, Vince.
Okay. Shout out,
The
Vince.
it's out.
Next question.
Last question: is Fallon available to host events? If so, how do I go about that?
Yeah, no. I mean, yes and no. It just depends. For sure. I host like I just got an email today asking if I would host a charity event. So I do host some um usually charity events, but I limit what I do because like I do so many events on weekends already for the radio station and I'm like
Right?
I
Yeah.
want so it depends on how long they are. I kind of like I'm like if it's over 2 hours, probably not because I just like want to be with the family and but
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes usually it has to go through like the radio station. But I
Okay.
don't DJ. People are always like, come DJ my wedding. I'm like, we are not that kind of DJ. I do not have equipment. You would not want me to DJ your wedding. I would play like Hanson or something. So you wouldn't want it.
Bop, chicka bop. All right, so then you guys can check out Fallon. She's got her podcast, Right Person, Wrong Time. You can also listen to her on Dave Ryan in the Morning on KWB, also iHeartRadio. Have you guys ever thought about like making react videos? Because I feel like that would be really fun with you guys.
You know what? No, but that's a really great idea. We have so Drake on our show kind of does our TikTok and our he does our social
Hmm.
media. I used to do our social media before him and I put in minimal effort because I don't do I mean I can make reels videos and stuff, but as far as like video editing, that is not my specialty. So he came in and that's kind of his job. But we throw out ideas all the time for him. And I'm gonna throw that out because it's a really good idea. I don't know why it seems like obvious, but we
You
should.
should. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then like people can send in like links to videos that to react to only on YouTube, obviously, because you could get some
Yeah.
gross.
True. Yeah.
All right, so Fallon, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I
Nice
really
talking to you.
appreciate it. You like worked all around my schedule. I just want to say, Clint, you are the realist. Thanks for working around my schedule. I'm sure you have a life. So thank you so much for making this work. I appreciate it.